Macron, démission.
The fundamental problem with it is that the European continent is bankrupt.
Is it true most of France's financial wealth right now is still built on
$500 billion a year
Wow.
from Africa?
from Africa.
Wow.
500. That's a lot
And
of
is
money.
it true that the deals are such that an African nation that has this deal with France cannot do business around the world with their natural resources without the first right of refusal with France?
First right of refusal is in
And they can
France's
still
hand.
tell them no.
They can still tell them no.
So if they've dug gold, coffee, cocoa,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
they go to France like, hey, you guys want this? And they say, nah. And they say, okay, we're going to sell it over here. France can still say, nah, you can't do that.
So insane.
And all those nations still run on the French franc, which is also hilarious because even France has
Goes
the
on the
euro.
euro.
Exactly.
So wait, they buy money from France with their own natural
So, yeah,
resources.
and if they don't
that's not
comply-
even worth anything in France.
Yep. And if they don't comply, the faucet's turned off immediately.
Under arrest here in the streets. Why are you here today?
We want the president to go away, basically, to just quit, and we want to change the government.
We are outside the Gare du Nord train station in Paris, one of hundreds of locations across the country today where people are gathering and protesting to bring France at a standstill. Who are they? They are students, they are railway workers, doctors, people from all ages and all backgrounds, and they are angry.
France is in shambles right now. In fact, it's gotten so bad that some are saying that this could be the end of the Fifth Republic. So what exactly happened and how has it gotten to this point?
France did not see what is happening in West Africa coming. So they find themselves at a time when they are very weak economically, when at home the population of immigrants is growing bigger and bigger. You go to cities such as Marseille, you find Algerians, you find Moroccans, you find Senegalese, you find Guineans, you find Burkinabe, and things are not happening as they used to be then.
France's current economic and geopolitical strain is not sudden, nor is it accidental. What is happening in France is the long-term outcome of the system that relied heavily on African resources. They relied heavily on monetary influence and political alignment to sustain its global position. Okay? For a number of years, Africa functioned as external stabilizer for the French economy and strategic power. That means France was fully depending on Africa. Now, what you are seeing in France right now, the chaos, the everything, is because of what? Is because that African countries, some African countries that were key to France, they have said no. You know? As African nations increasingly demand sovereignty, African nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, they are rejecting foreign military presence, they are questioning currency arrangement and redefining partnerships. France is facing the reality of operating without the advantage it once took for granted. And this is advantages like they have lost a lot of things, not merely symbolic. They have lost energy access. They have lost industrial inputs. They have lost diplomatic leverage. They have lost financial confidence. And what makes this moment significant is not hostility towards France. No. You know, when Africa is redefining itself, when Africa is remembering itself, whatever happens to other people, it's not our problem. Okay? Africa collective shift towards self-determination. We are not the cause of the problem. France is not being attacked or isolated by African countries. It is being required to compete on equal footing to the first time in generation. And the adjustment has exposed structural weaknesses that were long concealed by post-colonial arrangements. Now, this is not the end of France, but it is the end of an era. It is the end of an empire, one in which African subordination underwrote the French stability. Now, let me say this, end of an era. Now, France is in chaos. The people of France are protesting. The white Francis, they are protesting. Why? Because they were promised protection. They were promised a good life. But little did they know that these good lives come from the back of Africans. Okay? Africa has not collapsed France or did not collapse France. Africa simply just stopped holding it up. And this moment is very vital to us. This is New Africa, where Africa is not explaining through Western approval. Africa is telling its own stories through truth, memory, and power. And today's conversation is not emotional, it's not propaganda, it's not anti-France. It is historical accounting. Because for decades, France presented itself as fully sovereign global power, economically strong, military capable, diplomatically influential, but this image was incomplete. What was rarely acknowledged is that France's post-World War II recovery and long-term stability was structural intertwined with Africa. Now, before I continue, I want to give you an example. There's a video where French President Macron or Prime Minister Macron was in Burkina Faso. This is not it's where Ibrahim Traoré was not in power. He was in a college somewhere, in a university, Burkina Faso University. And somebody was complaining about the electricity delays, blackout, and everything. And Macron stood up and said, you know what? This is not my problem. It is the problem of your president. He is the one that is running the country. But he was mocking Burkinabe people because he knew exactly that they are the reason why there is no electricity. They are the reason why there is insecurity. There is a reason why, or they are the reason why Burkinabe people are so poor. God damn it. Some things as Africans, we need to sit down and think about it. Because I saw some African clapping. Yeah. The president back then got angry and walked out. Because it was a mockery. You know you are the one sabotaging me. You know you are the one you are stealing my eggs. You are the one that you are stealing my chickens even if they don't have hair on neck. You are the one who are eating them. But still you are telling me why on Christmas you are not changing something. You know? So that's mocking me. And France has been mocking African countries. France has been mocking Burkina Faso. France has been mocking Mali. With the CFA franc, was a mockery. Was a mockery. And what was rarely acknowledged is that they never acknowledged Africa on this. Not culturally, not symbolically, not materially. Africa supplied strategic minerals to France. Africa supplied energy security. Africa supplied currency stability, political leverage, military projection. And France did not merely trade with Africa. France organized its global standing around Africa. And this is not speculation. It is documented. The people in Burkina know that. The people in Western Africa, they know that. After World War II, France emerged weakened. Industrial damage, financially strained, politically exposed. And Africa became the solution. Resources extraction. You know, the uranium, oil and gas. They are coming and take it here. The gold and rare minerals. You know, and this input fed French. These fed French energy systems, manufacturing industries, defensive infrastructure. It fed France at cost far below global market value. This wasn't free trade. It was structural advantage. Now, one of my friends, I have a friend called Viater. He was doing this mining somewhere in Mali. And he have visited some countries and he was telling me just a story. They were mining gold, selling it at, like, for example, like $2. But when that gold goes out, being refined and it come back with like thousands and thousands of dollars. And that shows how Africa was extracted. And this guy was working hard, 24 hours, day out, day, night. They are going inside these holes, trying to mine. But they are getting poorer and poorest. But the people who are extracting, taking that golds, they are getting rich. There's a town here in Kenya called Rongo Town. I'm just giving you an example. Rongo Town, there's a place around Rongo University, mining of gold is being done. And when you pass there, you will notice that there's a lot of poor people around, poor housing, etc., etc. And we were asking ourselves, why are this area poor and yet they are mining gold here? It's because they are being exploited. That answers everything. And that is what France was doing to us. And when, for example, that Rongo town, when the people of that town start doing business direct to the owner, start refining their own, everything will change in that area. We'll have rich people with cars, with housing, with, education high. When you talk about the CFA franc system, it's one of the most powerful and least discussed pillars of French stability. Under the CFA franc system, African countries deposited large portions of their foreign reserves in French institutions. French retained monetary oversight. African economics were restricted in independent fiscal policies. And these arrangements stabilized French currency confidence. They stabilized French financial liquidity. They stabilized French global credit worth. Africa functioned as a financial shock absorber of France. Leave alone CFA franc. Look at the military bases. France's military bases across Africa were never only about security. They were about protecting what they are doing here. Political alignment, resource access, rapid intervention capacity. And this allowed France to influence leadership outcomes, allowed France to protect extractive arrangements, allowed France to project global power to project global power to its population size. And the French people, they thought they were power, they had power, they were above us. But in the real sense, we were their fathers. Oh, France, these are our sons and daughters. French people were the sons and daughters of Burkinabes. Burkinabe people, the Malian people, the Niger people, they are fathers of French. And now, the parents have told the children, you know what? Now it's time. You have finished your education. Did you wear the gown? It's called what? The graduation gown? Yes, I wore it. Now you're good? You're good. Now look for yourself. And that's where French is. And the people of France are now staggering. The people of France are now drowning into poverty. They want Macron to go. It's not about Macron. It's about the system. It's about the system. It's about Africa. Africa is waking up. Africa is rising. And that's why France is staggering. Africa is rising. And that's why Europe countries are dying. Africa is rising. And that's why America is scared. Africa did not wake up just angry. Africa woke up aware. The youth's population are questioning systems. Public discussions are out here. I seen African YouTubers. I see the Black History. I see Epic Reel, Kenyan Explorer. I see African Streamland Roundtable. They are asking questions, and these are youths. And these youths who are asking questions on the media, they are a threat to the system. Neo Africa is a threat to the system. We are educating ourselves, and we are getting somewhere. And that's why there's a lot of panic in the Western countries, because one thing that Europe fears the most is the African youth. In 2045, in 2050, the future will be Africa, because we have the youths. I know they don't tell you that there are some of these countries they just have older generation, like Germany, older generation, Poland, France. Their generation is like 45 and above. But what about in Africa? In Kenya alone, you see just a 12 years old youth, Sky, is speaking facts. You see 22 years old lady, Trufena Mudhoni, is doing wonders, is shaping the world. That means what? That means that we are going somewhere. And they fear this one. France did not expect Africa to live. France did not expect this to happen. The issue was never change might come. The issue was that France assumed it will be gradual, powerful forever. Now, as African advantage weakens, France is experiencing energy uncertainty, diplomatic marginalization, internal social strain, and these issues were always present. But Africa previously offset them. Without Africa, margin tightens. Without Africa, influence contracts. Without Africa, confidence erodes. This is not collapse, this is exposure. And this shift signals something larger. Former colonial structures are no longer stable. Youth demographics are redefining geopolitics. Old hierarchies are being audited. And Africa is not rising to replace anyone. Africa is rising to stand. And this movement demands strategic discipline, institutional reform, Pan-African coordination, long-term vision beyond emotion. And that's why we always champion for people like Ibrahim Traore. We champion for them. Because you know what? They got what it takes to bring these colonizers down. This is New Africa, where we tell African stories. Truth.